As you guys can tell for the title of the video, I'm going to be doing the newest EKG worst to best. Now, I can't believe I haven't done this already because there's been so many new EKGs from all the new bosses in the game, all the new Gen 3s especially. Also, I got that like Jimmy Neutron haircut going on right now, so slap that like button for Jimmy Neutron. By the way, guys, when I hit 300,000 subscribers, I am going to be doing the one chip challenge. So I will be doing the one chip challenge at 300k subs. I just wanted to, let you guys know that I did the, the super spicy pepper challenge at 200k. At 300k, we're going to be getting a little bit hotter with the one chip challenge. So make sure to like button, subscribe, guys. All right, guys. So the first tier we're going to be doing is the trash tier. Now, these are going to be the EKGs that honestly you should just use under no circumstance whatsoever. So first up in the EKGs is going to be Fume. Now, even though Fume has an okay, third ability, which is just a basic stun, it has too many hand signs and too much startup to be useful in a lot of different scenarios. And the second move had 3 hand signs added to it, plus the cooldown is actually much longer than what it was before. So Fume in general is just a really bad bloodline now. Now, next up in the trash tier is going to be Aiden's Sun Mud. I don't really need to explain why this is so bad. Just don't ever use this bloodline. Variety Mud is trash now, unfortunately. Now, up next is going to be Bolt. Now, Bolt has actually received buffs recently, but the buffs haven't been even close to being good enough to make this actually good now. Just because the moves themselves are outdated, removing some hand size from them isn't really going to make it any good. Now, next is going to be Wood. Now, Wood doesn't even land half the time. For some reason, the abilities like bug, so like 50% of the time, the stun, which is actually the only good move of Wood, won't even land on them, and it will become a completely useless stun global cooldown move. All right, so the last two in trash tiers are going to be Gold, Sand, and Mud. Now, I shouldn't really need to explain why this is going to be, how it is. Mud has these abilities that aren't really, on the proper global cooldown. Like, this move is on the stun global cooldown. The actual moves of Mud, they're just kind of lackluster in general. Gold Sand is just straight up bad. The only good move of Mud is the third one, and there's just better damage abilities. But, 60,000 damage is fine, I guess, but there's definitely much better in the game now, just because of, power creep and stuff like that. Now, the next tier is going to be the barely usable tier. Now, this tier is going to have blood EKGs that are going to be okay in some different scenarios, but they're not going to be as good as the actual ones on the tier list. Now, first of all, it's going to be Lava. Now, Lava has subpar damage in general, but it is pretty good for PvE due to the third ability. The third ability, for some reason, when it comes to bosses, when they walk through it, actually does up to like 100,000 damage to the bosses, but that's kind of all that Lava is good for. Now, you guys knew that Menza was going to be in the lowest one. Now, Menza actually has received some buffs, which means it's not, absolute trash anymore, but it's still a pretty terrible EKG. I mean, like, if you buy this, I honestly feel sad for you because you got scammed out of your row coins. Now, the next two in the barely usable tier is going to be Surge and Web. Now, Surge, first of all, guys, Surge has received some pretty, fat nerfs. The stun time is barely even long enough to get an M1 combo extender off, so it barely even extends your combos anymore. And frankly, bypassing iframes is pretty, it doesn't matter anymore because it just, the stun time's so short. So, I mean, like, when it comes to Surge, it was really good for a while now, but unfortunately, sometimes in life, good things just have to end. By good things, I mean, like, the literal most annoying bloodline in the game, and I'm so glad it got nerfed. Now, like I said, Web is going to be another one in the barely usable tier. Now, even though Web has okay abilities, like, it has a guard break, guard break dash. The second move is a move stacking ability that does allow you to cast abilities as it's going on, and it has an okay travel move. The only really useful move of Web is the travel move, and the travel move is on an iframe global cooldown, so it's really not that great overall. Now, the next two in the barely usable tier is going to be Typhoon and Tsunami. Now, these EKGs are honestly only used for either trolling people or for PvE content. So, I mean, like, both of them, just only use them for PvE content. The actual first ability of Typhoon can be useful in different scenarios just because, having a pull move that you can control is pretty good for, like, trolling and stuff like that. But when it comes down to it, just stick with PvE when it comes to these two. Now, the two up next in the barely usable tier is going to be Emerald and Ice. Now, Emerald, I mean, like, Emerald's just a PvE only bloodline. I mean, the second move of Emerald is a PvE move. That's kind of all it is for Emerald. Now, for Ice, it can be useful for the first move, but it's kind of a little bit laggy and stuff like that. And Ice is honestly just good for PvE as well when it comes to the third move. Now, last but not least, in the barely usable tier is going to be Boil. Now, Boil in general is just an okay EKG. I mean, like, it's about as much as you expect. It's steam. You shoot it from, your nose hole, and it is what it is when it comes to steam. Now, the third move of Boil actually does a lot of damage to bosses for some reason. So when bosses go through it, it just does a lot of damage to them. Maybe because they're hitting these individually. That's kind of all it is for Boil, though. Now, coming to 12th place is going to be Crystal. Now, Crystal would be pretty bad, but the third move does have a glitch involved with it where if you move the person inside of the Crystal move, it can do like absolute tons of damage. Now, the only other good move of Crystal is the second one, but it's honestly just too slow for this meta, which relies on burst combos. And then the stun move of Crystal is just extremely buggy and just lags out the game. Now, coming in 11th place is going to be Dust, formerly known as Atomic in Shindo Life. Now, Dust in general, the ability people stick to is the second one. It's just a very quick damage burst ability. The third move is an okay stun as well. I mean, if you want to be using Dust. I haven't seen a single person using Dust in a long time, though. Now, coming to 10th place is going to be the Explosion EKG. Now, Explosion first move and third move are honestly pretty terrible. I mean, like, they're just bad. I mean, I'm not gonna, you know, try and explain why they're good. The only good move of Explosion is the second one, but it's absolutely amazing. It's a block breaking combo extending 45,000 damage, literally instant ability. Very basic, very easy to use, and very, very good. Now, coming to 9th place is going to be Blood. Now, Blood was once one of the literal best just EKGs in the game due to the absolutely insane stun potential. But nowadays, Blood is just outshadowed by some of the other stuns in the game that just do a lot more. And frankly, stuns, this is going to sound hilarious, but stuns are not meta. It's honestly just huge damage burst combos that are meta, and there's just better stuns in the game than Blood. Coming in 8th place is going to be the Magma EKG that actually drops from the Happy Gen 3 Tailed Spirit. Now, Magma in general, I think it's kind of, you know, it's honestly kind of underrated. It has an instant combo extendable ability. The first move is basically just Doku Tengoku's first move as an EKG move, so it does block break, stronger block. And then the third move is an AoE stun that actually hits them even if they stop if they stop blocking during the duration of the move, they'll get hit by it even if they're not in the AoE radius of it. Now, coming to 7th place, it could be Scorch and or Frost. They fulfill the same purpose. Scorch just does more damage and Frost actually stuns. Now, Scorch is going to be in this place or Frost because it just does so much damage. Even after the nerf, Scorch it still does just a lot of damage. I mean, there's not really much else to say other than that. It's just a huge damage EKG, and Frostfire does a bit less damage, but stuns. Now, coming to 6th place is going to be Powder. Now, Powder does have some pretty unique moves like this one where it actually aims where your cursor's going, but the main good move of Powder is the third one, which does actually have move stacking on it. So you're able to use moves before the move even ends, and then you actually can do a bit of damage to them as they're going away from you. Now, this is going to be the only move of Powder that's really any good, even though the second move is extremely cool. It's kind of overshadowed by a lot of the other abilities in the game, but, you know, Powder's a really cool bloodline, so go for it if you have it. Now, coming to 5th place is going to be Sand and or Jin Shiki, honestly, for their counters. Now, Sand's counter can be better in different scenarios because, you know, it's a place lock stun that triggers on the location. It was nerfed, so the stun duration isn't nearly as long as what it was before. So maybe Jin Shiki counter is a little bit better now. I'll be showing you guys Jin Shiki counter here in a second, though. The only good thing about them is their counters, so that's why I'm kind of putting them into their same rank because they're pretty much the only ones on here that are only useful for a specific counter ability from them. And Jin Shiki counters, if you had to pick between these, I do think Jin Shiki counter is better, just because the iframes of the move last significantly longer, and, you know, it's easier to extend from the move because the stun is extremely long off this move. Now, coming to 4th place is going to be Inferno. Now, it's absolutely insane that Inferno is going to be ranking this high, but because Inferno used to be a joke EKG, and, you know, it has received some nerfs. Obviously, it was super broken for a while, but when it comes to Inferno, it still has the really, really good traveling ability. It actually is counterable now, so you can counter Inferno users because they don't have any iframes during it anymore, but it's still extremely good as a traveling move, very, very useful, and it's still a great EKG to use. Now, probably one of the most lame EKGs in the game, like, probably if you use this, you're a certified nerd moment, but, you know, this bloodline Smoke is going to be coming in 3rd place. It has a pretty okay counter ability. The second move is a point and click stun, but that's not really what makes Smoke so good. It's the first move. People use this first move in, like, duels or, you know, RPG and stuff because they could do just a ton of damage to people. Like, you guys can see that damage counter at the bottom left. You can do a ton of damage to people and then run away and charge your chi up. It's just pretty much a free damage move. It has no end lag either, so you could just deactivate the move as they're getting knocked back and combo off of it. So, you know, Smoke is just a certified nerd EKG, but that doesn't mean it's bad. The coming to 2nd place in the EKG worst to best video is going to be Fizz. Now, Fizz first ability is an okay ability. It does a bit of damage to someone. The third move is also an okay ability. I mean, like, it has a small place lock stun at the end of it that raises them up, but these aren't the abilities that people use from. It is going to be the instant second move, which is it's an extender. If you run around them, it do a lot of damage to them, and it's honestly just a really good ability for traveling as well. So it's a really good versatile ability that you can use to escape, you can use it to initiate, you can use it to extend. It's just a very, very versatile ability, which, you know, instant flying moves are almost always versatile. Like, Fume was really, really good up until it got nerfed. Fume would probably be right here with Fizz if it didn't get nerfed. But other guys, what is your favorite EKG in Shindo Life? From the comments below, we'll be checking them out. Now, coming to 1st place, you guys have probably been wondering, where is this EKG? crazy. It's going to be a Pulse Sand coming in first place. The second move is a Place Lock Trap. Now, it actually is a trap move on the ground. It does 50,000 damage when they trigger it. Maybe you get lucky and hit it. This isn't really the move that people use. The moves people use is the first one, which actually is an instant guard breaking, you know, damage ability. It's just a really, really good range guard break. It's pretty much just Mecha Spirit missiles, but better. And then you do have a Pulse Sand third. This move is crazy. It's a 30-second cooldown move that reduces the damage you take by a ton. It makes it so you can't take any stun damage, and it's just completely a passive ability. It's not on any global cooldown whatsoever, so it's completely passive, completely free to use as long as you have an EKG slot, and it's just honestly a really, really great move. Passive moves in general are really, really good, and this one just being completely free to use every 30 seconds is honestly pretty amazing in general. So Pulse Sand, solid first place pick for this actual worst to best. And just guys, before this video, if you enjoyed this video, I'm going to start with guys. Bye-bye.